If we go back and see what was traditional banking, where you used to visit the banking branch, you used to get the accounts opened, the documentation was done. Then to avail any of the services of the bank, you will have to go to the bank, like withdrawing money or depositing money, you will have to use check or deposit slip, go to the bank and do the same. Then you wanted to make a demand draft, like for example, you have to pay 10,000 rupees to someone in some other city, you go and fill up a form in the bank will debit 10,000 rupees from your account and make a demand draft in the name of that person. And then you basically send that information to someone over a post or courier or something else, and that person receives demand drafts, he uses that to withdraw money from the bank. Right. So these are some examples. Traveler's check, you do not want to carry too much of cash from one city to another while traveling in train, which was the most popular traveling uh, media in the country. At that time, nobody wanted to carry a heavy amount of cash. Right. So these were traditional banking services that were offered to you through the physical banking facility. Right. Now, over a period of time, we have seen that we have grown through technology, right? We are in 21st century. For the last 20 years, I would say, or more, we have seen banking has taken a leapfrog jump over the last 2 decades. And that is because that was possible because of the availability of technology, innovative solutions, strategic management of the banking functions, and also the impact of globalization, privatization, and liberalization. So there are some public sector banks in the country, right? Like State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Union Bank. And there are private banks, which are ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and so on. There are a couple of foreign banks as well, which are existent in India. For example, HDFC Bank, HSBC Bank. Similarly, we have DCB, which is Development Credit Bank, right? There were a few more banks in India, which are having a presence here and there. The most important thing is that when you talk about globalization, privatization, and liberalization, it brings competition into the market. Earlier, there was only State Bank of India. And the other public sector banks like PNB, Indian Bank, and others, they were smaller banks compared to State Bank of India. State Bank of India was huge. But again, the traditional banking was offered over there. You had to go to the branch to avail certain facilities. Even to get your address changed, even to get anything updated in your profile, or any small thing that does not have to do anything with financial transaction, you were required to visit the banking branch. And that too, banking was limited to the branch banking. If I have an account in, for example, in Swaminagar, Delhi branch of HDFC Bank, I have to go and visit that branch only. Otherwise, I will not get that facility. Otherwise, there is some restriction. Otherwise, you write a letter, etc., etc. What has happened with the use of technology? What has happened with the use of strategic management? What has happened because of competition in the market is that every bank was forced to use technology, transform transactions, the way transactions are held, implementation of new ways of working, right? And then also we have seen in the past 20-25 years that a lot of banking area, a lot of banking business has been deregulated. Deregulated means earlier only public sector banks were allowed to operate in the country. But after 1991 LPG policy implementation by the government, we have seen the global banks were given permission, private entities were given permission to form the banks, and so on. We have still seen that there are a few banks that have been formed over the last 5 to 7 years. Bandhan Bank, IDFC First Bank, right? And there are a lot of small payments banks, small fin banks, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, right? These are the different types of banks which are getting formed. So there are specific purposes for which a bank has to be formed. Like, for example, Paytm Payments Bank, Airtel Payments Bank. This bank has more to do with payments. It enables technology. The technological platform is provided to you to make payments easily. At the same time, because they are into the field of making payments, they also thought of having a small bank where you can do everything online. There is no branch for Airtel Payments Bank. There is no branch for Paytm Payments Bank. So the idea came, it was realized that a lot of payments have been made over the payment platforms. So RBI formed a small law, some regulations around Paytm Payments Bank. And then they allowed, and that also gave thrust to Government of India to make India Post payment banks, which have typically branches as well, where people will have more confidence because that's India Post, because it is owned by Department of Telecommunications. So this is what has happened in the last 2 decades, where banks have got access to international markets. Banks have got access to multi-millionaire banking business models, currency models, inter-country, intra-country transactions, domestic and international transactions, pressure of having globalized, more technologically advanced banks in the country, right? These are the things that have happened. And also in the last 10 to 15 years, we have seen a number of small banks that have been taken over or acquired by bigger banks to make better presence in the country. The way HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank, the 2 biggest private sector entities of banking in this country, they have grown. You would see there are examples that to grow in southern India, what they've done, they've acquired smaller or maybe some cooperative banks in the zones of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh to have a presence over there. So what is this? This is basically, you are spreading your legs across the country, which means you will open up branches, or you will already have an existing setup of branches where you have acquired a bank locally. That will put pressure on whom? Public sector banks. Public sector banks will have to adopt technology because of technology usage in the private sector banks. So slowly and steadily, we saw modern banking industry getting developed. So what are the primary and other functions of the bank? The primary function of the bank is to give loans and take deposits. But slowly and steadily, what has happened? That for taking loans and opening an account, you do not have to visit a branch. Do you really go and visit the branch for opening an account? No. Sometimes you call, and some of the private banks provide a service that they will send a person with a tablet at your place. He will open a digital bank account. He will give you the welcome kit, the debit card, and the small checkbook and everything at your place. He will click photographs of your original Aadhaar card, PAN card, address proof, etc. He'll click your picture and upload the form. This has reduced the use of paper as well, which is putting a lot of pressure on forests. Use of paper means that you are putting pressure on forests. So this is one way or the other supporting the environmental initiative of the banks, which is not mentioned in this presentation, but why not? When you have devices, when you have technology, when you have advanced servers, cloud computing, collaborative systems, why do you really need? You have applications of every bank, and integrated applications, which has 2 ends. One is the customer end, the other is the banking end. You will be able to see your own profile. Bank will be able to see everybody's profile. If you can integrate that and you can open an account, now you apply for a new account on ICICI Bank, you don't have to visit ICICI Bank. You can do it online. So there are so many things which are happening over internet, which is making emerging trends of internet. Now let us have a look at the competitive divisions of the banking today. What are the different areas in which banking is providing services? The first one is commercial banking, where you see that cash management, your money transfer, corporate payroll services, bank reconciliation statements, credit services like asset-based financing, lines of credit, commercial loans, real estate loans, secured, unsecured loans, deposit services like your opening of your account, depositing money in your account, withdrawal, foreign exchange. These are basically the areas which are covered under commercial banking, scope of commercial banking. Now you see, investment banking is one more division every bank has. What is that covers an array of services like asset securitization. The second is coverage of mergers, acquisitions, corporate restructuring. Now, what is this? That, when a company wants to take over another company, or a company wants to buy one more company, or a company is trying to restructure itself to be more financially viable, to be able to cut expenditures, increase incomes, or to be able to respond rationally to the environmental changes, whatever it is. For example, I'm making losses as an organization. But when I called the analysts, they suggested me that, if you restructure your organization, remove these many departments, or outsource these many services from your company to another company, you will be restructured and you will save a lot of money. For example, who are these advisors? Where they have come from? They have come from bank. Bank is providing these services, but these services will be provided to mostly medium and large enterprises. Small and very small enterprises or micro enterprises will not be able to cater to the cost of this service from the bank. Bank will charge money for that. So mergers, acquisitions, corporate restructuring, security underwriting, equity private placements, and placements of debt securities with institutional investors. Now, one very good example of investment banking is mutual funds. From a retail investor perspective, if I'm there, if you are there, we are salaried people. What do? We save money. But there is a difference between saving and investment. Saving is that you buy an insurance policy, 20 years, after 20 years, you will get some lump sum. You buy a money back policy, you buy a health insurance, you buy, you put money into fixed deposit, recurring deposits, and so on. Investment is where you have a multiplier result embedded with a risk. Multiplier impact is that if everything is going good, your amount invested will grow 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 20 times. But the risk is embedded. What is that risk? If everything is bad, yesterday you got 10 times better money, today you lost all the money. And that is what is asset-based investments, shares, debentures, debt solutions. So what you do, mutual fund is basically a mix of all that. Mutual fund tells you that, okay, you have small money. Okay, give me 500 rupees per month. So for a year, you will invest 6,000 rupees. For 5 years, I will take 6,000 rupees from you. What banks will do in place of that is provide you intelligent asset-based equity placement services or debt placement services. What they do, they take money from you, 6,000 rupees a year, and they see what are the progressive investment portfolios with different institutions, different corporate entities, government entities, public sector entities, and they invest money over there. Whenever they start decreasing in the market in terms of share pricing and other things, they withdraw money from there and they put it over some other portfolio. Similarly, equity portfolio is riskier, but debt portfolio is less risky. So what you do, you will remove money from the equity placement and put it into the debt solutions. Debentures are better. Why? Because you get certain amount of interest every time. So they would invest that money into debentures, looking at person's age, person's profile, person's salary. Keeping all of that in mind, you keep on doing that. So this is what is bank doing in place of the customer. Customer is relaxed, he's sitting at home. So this is another competitive method of giving services to the customer. Again, all of this is happening digitally. You are not going to the bank and visiting anyone. Somebody is calling you and giving you services. Somebody is calling you, taking an appointment, coming to your home and giving services. Premium banking. So these are certain trends that we have seen where, banks have transformed themselves just from opening an account and giving loans to this level, where they have categorized customers into different categories. A customer who is having more than 10 years of accounts, has monthly 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 10 lakh or 15 lakhs balance in the account, will be having a different kind of treatment compared to a person who has 10,000 rupees every month. This is a piece of commercial banking. I earn more profit, more margins because of the customer who is having 15 lakh rupees every month compared to 15,000 rupees every month. So I continue to extend basic level of services to 15,000 rupees per month customer and some additional services to 15 lakhs. So that I don't lose his account. Though always in banking, you will have a combination of 80-20. 80% of the accounts will obviously have lower amount of balance every month compared to 20% customers who will have higher amount of balance. So usually banks earn more profit, more revenue, more margins because of these 20% customers. But India, if you have to exist as a bank, you need to have small accounts. Because 80% of your population exists on small number of money, earnings, revenue, livelihood, etc. Less people work in a family over here, and more people are dependent on the working person. That is what the trend of this country is, which is changing slowly. Internet banking. It involves customers using internet to access their bank account. So there is a basic level. There is an advanced level. At the basic level, what they do is they basically set up a web page. They give information to the bank, to the customers that this is what the bank does. Very basic. It's basically like hdfc.com or hdfc.co.in or something like that. But at an advanced level, it provides facilities such as you will be able to see your accounts, balance, small statements, funds transfers, or buying or applying for financial products. This is called transactional online banking. So internet banking is sometimes just a basic page of the bank will also be called internet banking. But your online banking is always transactional in nature, where you will be able to click buttons and make payments, receive money, etc., etc. So there are two ways of delivering this solution of internet banking. The first way of delivering internet banking solution is that you have a kiosk in your office, banking branch, where the person can come, sit, and access internet banking requirements. The second is that you give access to the person to be able to access his account from his home. So it's called virtual bank. Branchless banking, no branch banking. You don't have to visit the physical branch of the bank. So this is the two-way. And this virtual bank is connected with the physical branch as well. When you are making transactions right now over here at, say, for example, 12:30, the same is affected all across the globe wherever the bank account is existent. Whether a person sitting in Uttarakhand will be able to see, with the bank's person, the staff of the bank will be able to see the changes real time, whether he's sitting in Uttarakhand, Andhra Pradesh, or somewhere else. You are sitting in Delhi and making changes in your bank account will be seen by these people. So this is what the second level of internet banking is. So these are banking services at the very basic level. The next level, which is called simple transactional websites. And there is a third level, which is called fully transactional websites. Now, in number of cases, we will see second and third only. But still, if if a person is not tech savvy, he doesn't know anything, at least he can open the website of the bank and should be able to see that what are the phone numbers on which I can call, what is the email ID on which I can raise queries, complaints, and things like that. While usually what has happened in online banking is simple transactional or full transactional websites are there, where you have to log in with your credentials. You're given a username and a password, and the password authenticates that you are the customer. Right? There is a second level authentication. Usually when you make payments also, you will see second level authentication. The moment you click on payment, it gives you an OTP. And in some of the banks, if you see the debit cards of those banks, I've not seen credit card, to be very honest. I've not been into credit cards at all. But what has happened is that in debit cards, in the back side, there is a matrix of numbers. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G is the alphabet, and below A, there is a number called 26. B, there is a number called 35. C, there is a number called 10. So what they do when you ask for a payment, they just try to authenticate that whether the same person is making the payment from the same bank account or not. So what they ask is, can you please provide alphabet A, G, and H numbers below? So that you have to use your debit card. The backside of the debit card has that matrix to make the payment. So these are different levels of authentication that are used in modern virtual banking services. Right? So these are, second and third level of services. So this is structure of banking. I'm not going into the details, but what bank provides at the premium layer of services to customers is brokerage, cash management, credit applications. They provide credit and debit cards. I'm not going into the details of this because you are aware of it. I don't have to tell you what is a credit card, what is a debit card, how does it operate. But if any of you are confused, you do not know what is that, then you let me know, I will explain that. Customer correspondence, right? So a number of customer complaints, queries, requests are catered through this online banking module. You log in with your credentials and then you can raise requests, stop check payments, change your debit card, hotline your debit card. If your debit card is lost, you can block it over the internet and seek a new one. Demat holdings. Demat account is basically your securitization process. So if you are into online purchase of shares, debt solutions, right, selling of shares, etc., you have to open a Demat account. Dematerialization account. Financial advice for foreign exchange trading. If you are into export import, obviously you will be involved in foreign exchange trading. So bank provides financial advisory services for that. Insurance. Most of the banks have an alignment with the insurance company. So for example, if I pick up ICICI Bank, it has ICICI Prudential life insurance and general insurance policies. So it's a different entity. For HDFC, we have HDFC Life. So there are insurance companies attached to the main bank. And then you will see integrated solutions provided by the bank for insurance, investment, online trading, similar to Demat account. Opening of accounts, very, very simple. I do not have to go into the details. We have already discussed the products like savings account, current account, recurring deposit, right? Term deposit, fixed deposit. These accounts we have already, lockers, requests and intimations. I have told you that if you go and access the online banking module, you will be able to see a number of requests like a checkbook request. You don't have to, earlier you have to go and fill up a form in the bank to get the checkbook. But when you talk about these public and private sector banks and foreign banks, you don't have to do that. Online, you have to go and raise a request for new checkbook. It will be delivered on your address. Just that you need to make sure that your address is updated. Tax services. Whatever amount of tax has been deducted from your account can be seen on Form 26AS of Income Tax Authority. That Income Tax Authority, whenever you file the returns, you make sure that you provide your PAN number and your bank account number. So in that same bank account, you will be able to access Form 26AS, which tells you how much of taxes you have filed during the year. E-shopping you can do. I don't have to explain, this is available. Standing instructions. If you want to transfer some money from one account to another every month and the amount is certain, you can give a standing instruction that for 1 year, every month on 14th, 10,000 rupees should be debited from my account and credited to so and so's account. Bank would obviously charge some money for that, but they will do that. Investments, I have explained that already. Asset management services. So if there are assets which are attached to you, properties that are attached to you, asset securitization is done by the bank. So you can see your assets, its securitization, its value management over online banking. So these are the things which are part of emerging solutions of banking. And these are the services which earlier were offered over the branch banking are now being offered over virtual banking. This is a basic difference, basic comparison between traditional banking and internet banking with which I opened my lecture. I told you very clearly that what are the things that were happening during traditional banking methodology where you used to visit the branch and that too, it was a branch specific operation. Now these have been operationalized over virtual banking, which is internet banking. The basic banking page is available, or you can go to the next level of banking where you can get credentials from the bank, log in into your bank account, access a number of services that we discussed on the previous slide. Right? What are the e-banking transactions? We have already discussed, but let's just have a quick look at account inquiry you can do. You can do funds transfer using RTGS, NEFT, and now immediate payment systems, IMPS. Payment of your electricity bills, water bills, telephone bills, and some other bills now. Online payment of transactions actually performed through internet, right? Request. So now, one very good example of this is that every month we get our salaries in our accounts, whether it is a private organization, government organization, public sector entity, etc. We get payments, right? We also, one very beautiful example of this is that based on Aadhaar linkage, a number of people in this country receive subsidies, cash transfers, benefits, pensions into their bank accounts because of Aadhaar linkage. Request for issuance of checkbooks, demand drafts, etc. Everything has been put into the online or virtual banking. You can request these things for which earlier you used to go to branches, fill up forms, submit, and used to wait for 1 to 2 days to get the same. Then the time was reduced to 24 hours, 12 hours, 6 hours, 2 hours, and now finally it is ready-made available in your account. If you have money in your account, you can immediately generate demand draft. Statement of accounts, you can get statement of accounts for the last 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or even for the last 10 years. Historical statements are available. Access to latest schemes, offers, discounts, a lot of things are there. So if there is, because you have an account, there are some products with which the company has, or the companies with which company has some partnership, some alignment, they will give you schemes like 10% off while ordering food online, 10 to 15% off while buying shoes or clothes of a certain brand, access to latest rates of interest and other service charges. So all these things are made available online. Earlier, what used to happen, that you had to go to the branch to access the rates of interest for the fixed deposits or loans that you're going to take. Now you, on a click of a button, you will be able to see the entire chart. And this access to rates of interest is not just on the virtual account that you have opened with the bank. It is available on the website of the bank as well. So you don't have to go to the second level or second tier of the e-banking. These are different models. That the first one is a complete centralized solution, the second is cluster approach, and the third is tech bank within a bank. So the other two are slowly getting redundant now. But the best is about complete centralized solution. Why? Because it saves a lot of cost for the bank. So what used to happen earlier, that some of the cities were clustered, like Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune, Surat. These are Ahmedabad. These are big cities. So let us have customers of these cities have online banking or virtual banking. For others, it will not be. Or otherwise, branch-wise, we will see how many are high-end customers for us. And for those high-end customers, we'll provide online services or other premium banking services. So the third approach is that let's have a complete centralized solution. When we are going to create online banking accounts, we will give a contract to a third party, which is an IT service industry. That company will make a module for us for online banking. So earlier we were having accounts in Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune. The cost is, say, for example, 1 lakh rupees. Example I'm just giving. But when we get the entire bank virtualized, all the customers may have access to virtual banking. It is just that they have to apply for it. And immediately their online banking can be enabled. In that situation, the actual expense is 3 lakhs. So why to spend 1 lakh and get 5 cities enabled or 20,000 customers enabled out of 1 lakh? Let's have all 1 lakh customers facility of online banking. It is for the customers to choose whether they want to have an online bank or not. बहुत सारे customers हैं, बुजुर्ग लोग हैं, जैसे मेरी mother हैं, उनको online banking नहीं चाहिए, तो वो नहीं access करना चाहती. But उनके लिए facility available है. If she goes and applies for an online banking, she will be given credentials वो घर आइए, एक क्लिक करिए, ऑनलाइन बैंक अकाउंट खोल लिया, सारे स्टेटमेंट, सारी चीजें। तो सोल्यूशन बना हुआ है, विच इज अ सेंट्रलाइज सोल्यूशन। अब आप 50-100 लोगों के लिए सोल्यूशन बनवाइए या 10 शहरों के लिए सोल्यूशन बनवाइए, उसकी बजाय बेटर है कि अपने सारे 1,50,000 कस्टमर्स के लिए सोल्यूशन बनवा लीजिए। तो वो सस्ता पड़ गया, 1 लाख की बजाय वो 3 लाख का पड़ गया। तो मैं ऐसा क्यों करूं? Let me give solution to everyone. Why? Because internet is almost has reached the last person in the society, and it is affordable at a lower cost. Then why don't I give? And smartphones are reaching out to the people. There are smartphones available for 3,500 onwards. People are able to buy those things and they are able to access that. इन चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हुए जो मॉडल बनाए गए उसमें कंप्लीट सेंट्रलाइज्ड सॉल्यूशन वाज द बेस्ट मॉडल. So this is where we are stopping today, and we will start complete centralized solution.